All right. We are back for another fantastic interview today. I've got Jason Peterson here with me, and I'm excited. I'm excited to have Jason come on for the second time to talk about his experience of, the going through the authentic being experience. Jason signed up, to basically go through another round of it, whatever you want to call that. Basically, signed up to do, a second run of the program. Um, which is really not necessarily true because we kind of went off in a totally different direction, I'd say, on the
Yeah.
second time
Oh yeah,
around. But
completely.
yeah, so I wanted to bring Jason back just so, he can share, his wins, his awarenesses that have been created, really anything that he wants, and that we get to really be here at the end and really just have a great conversation where we get to just bask in each other's glory, basically. So excited for anybody who wants to watch us to come along for the ride, and have us here with us. So Jason, thanks for joining me. Thanks for being willing to jump on.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. Was been looking forward to it all week.
Yeah. Um, so, Jason, is there anything that you want to share with the audience? Anything about yourself, who you are, where you're at in the world, anything, and any other things that you want to share.
Well, I think for there's a few folks that might remember me from the posting in the group. I haven't posted in the group in a little while, but folks that have checked in on me throughout the last 7, 8 months, and um, I'm someone who started this program without any knowledge of how this process was going to go, and I became quite enamored by it, and so much that I did a second round and felt like I was scratching the surface really towards the end of the first round, and I just had this insatiable appetite for progression. So the next logical step for me was to just keep going, like, and then we went in a completely different direction, which was completely um, awesome and out of left field and great all at the same time.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So, what were you hoping to get out of the second time of us working together? You completed the foundation of the work that we were doing. You got a taste of it all, and where were you wanting to go from that?
I think it was how I think initially I was looking to get direction from you, but I slowly switched gears and trying to learn how to give myself direction, be more empowering of myself to do the things that I've wanted to do in my life and be the Jason that I've always wanted to be. So I really harnessed and tried to really embrace that the power was in there. It was already there. There was no external, yeah, externally it was motivating and captivating, and I embraced it. But at the end of the day, it was in there the entire time.
Hmm.
Yeah, it just had
And
to
yeah,
peel it.
sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, no, sorry. Just had to peel some things back a little and um, have a good look.
And so, as you reflect back on kind of what you're speaking to, with this sort of like inner power, this creation that came from it, what were some of the things that happened over the last few months where you were like, "Whoa, what's going on here?"
Well, I think it was the realization that there was a part of me that was trying to chase after something that was already there. I just had to feel like I had to give myself permission to unleash myself,
Hmm.
um, step out of my own way, perhaps.
Yeah,
Help with patterns and just kind of reconfigure with patterns that I've done my whole life and stuff. So
yeah.
yeah.
Do you need to take a minute or anything to take care of anything right now? Because you can.
We're good.
It's the beauty of working together. The telltale signs of like, something's going on here.
You see me giving the stink eye towards
Yeah.
the yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and no worries. If you have to get up for a minute or take care of anything, go for it, for sure. I can manage the crowd on my own. Our one spectator, our two spectators. So if you're here with us, actually, feel free to share in the comments who you are and let us know if you have any questions or comments along the way. We'll be happy to answer them for you.
Absolutely, we will. Yeah, looking forward to it.
So I'll have you actually speak to that again because I know you're kind of distracted there the first time. Um, you talked about inner power and really finding a path of creation for yourself. What were some of the key things that happened over these last couple months where you were like, yeah, like this is my creation. This is me out in the world generating this.
I think it really started with some practices that were more than uncomfortable. I challenged myself to take practices on that were lifelong patterns that I wanted to not so much correct, but redirect. Yeah. So once I started getting some small victories, it really opened my eyes to, boy, I'm in charge of this thing. Yeah. So, and I was starting to find my own happiness in some of the victories. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go to bed. Go to bed.
Do you want to change spots?
No, yeah, yeah. No, your house is probably quieter.
Yeah, I'm in the basement, so
Oh,
um, yeah. Well, just like you said, I mean, it was really cool to see the impact that those practices had, and really, you know, I'll speak to it because it was very apparent, like the things that you had been avoiding in your life. And that's probably not even fair to say. The places that, that were sort of the scary places to go, in terms of boundary setting or having those difficult conversations, you brought a certain energy to those practices that really shifted the whole dynamic. Can you speak more to that?
yeah. I think there was a stretch where I was I started seeing the humor in it and starting to like just cut myself some slack because certain practices, I'd be like, wow, I'm doing that multiple times a day. Let's try to peel it back and see why I'm doing those particular things. So then it became humorous. I'm like, really? Why are you doing that? Like, and then I love the kind of the reward and the not so reward system where if I did X amount of things one week, I'd have to, I had to give my X some money. So just to make it fun and try to take the power back, like not make it kind of rule over me. And then it didn't make it so unsurmountable.
Hmm.
So it felt like I humanized it a lot more than I did before. And I always use the phrase that, the world didn't open up and swallow me whole. And that was evident. Like once I got through some little tiny hurdles. Okay, hang on one second.
No problem. This is life with children at night. I'm sure most of you guys, have experienced this in your own way. Our son tonight, he was up pretty late and causing chaos for my wife. So, it's just one of these things that happens, and we get to have fun. It's funny. So you're saying you think they broke the house. So Jason, are you one of our viewers? Are you secretly on the laptop as well? Hey, I was just asking you. We had Facebook user comment here. Was that you on there?
Nope.
Okay, that's funny. Somebody said I think they broke the house. Oh yeah. Okay. Apparently I just can't read. So we
Oh,
got I so Facebook user, we'd love to know who you are. But yeah, he's saying I think they broke your house, Jason.
they're making fart noises with their mouths, so trying to get some attention,
Yeah, for sure.
boys.
For sure.
Yeah.
Um, Dave. Dave who? That's the next question.
Oh,
Um,
on chats.
David York, maybe? Oh, we lost him. We got a comedy episode here today. We'll just wait for him to come back. Hey, David. Well, welcome. Uh, Jason's coming back on, hopefully. Good to see you, David. Thanks for jumping in. Um, yeah, we've got to have some dialogue around just Jason's experience of um, going through the second time. I'm just
Mhm.
talking to David here in the
Yeah.
comments, and some of the the things that came from really taking ownership over your path creation, bringing humor to the practices.
Mhm.
Great stuff. um what were some of the surprises for you over the last couple months? What were some of the things that you're like, whoa, I did not expect this to happen?
I think just being okay with those practices. I think that was such a big thing. And that, I had some declarations and some things that I just put out there that I wouldn't have dreamt of trying to overcome. Like, um, looking for externally, looking for external things to make me happy, like something like that. Like, I've really embraced the idea that I am in charge of that.
Hmm.
And yeah, external things, of course, make me happy, but I'm not looking for that.
Hmm.
And the success of the practices was really where it flipped the switch. I started to get some successes, but I felt happy about it. And that was something brand new. So you
Hmm.
get a little taste of happiness. I'm like, hang on a second. I made myself happy by doing something that I knew that I could do, or be the way that I wanted to be.
Yeah. Well, and we basically decided that one of the breakthroughs for you in this process was going to be a breakthrough in happiness.
Yeah.
And how was that created?
I created that. Like, I had victories in areas that I would never have expected it. And this internal pride and confidence I felt was happiness, like true, unadulterated happiness. And it was really, really great. And once I got a taste of that, I think I really turned a corner in how I approached the rest of the coaching, and our practices and our discussions, and my just day to day life.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And what's life like for you now, from business to lifestyle? What are some of the things that you're noticing?
There's this piece of timidness and being afraid that's just not there anymore. Um, you mentioned last week or the week before that I was a beacon of connection. And I've really taken that to heart as far as how I connect with people. It was before would be to try to connect with them in order to get my tires pumped. But now it's to connect with them because that's just who I am.
Hmm.
And I pump my own tires. I don't need someone else to pump my tires for me. It's a connection because I'm good with people and I love it. That's the heart led adventurous guy that I want to be. It was just a slight lens change that did it.
Hmm.
Yeah. And that, I mean, doing that just makes me happy because I know I'm not doing it for personal praise or to feel have someone else be in charge of how I feel about myself. It truly is because I love to connect with people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that that piece, I mean, it's no surprise that it's a part of your essence.
Mhm.
It was, even from where we started, it was very apparent that like connection is who you are.
Yeah.
And one of the things that's, I feel like I can speak to it is that like in some ways it felt like how you show up in the world at times like it was wrong to be who you are in connection, or like you would be judged for it, or you judge yourself even. And that's been really amazing to witness over these last 7 months of like that quality of who you are doesn't go away. You just get to embrace it more and more and be comfortable with like this is who you are, and like relationships can be built from that.
Yeah. I've approached business a little differently where the connections are the business. So I've been able to take away my kind of self-serving approach to relationships to make it more in line with who I am, and it's just to connect with people and give great service at an elite level. And um, we continue to be busier and busier every week. Um, as far as my personal life goes, I really feel like I'm putting myself out there more than I have, spending more time with other people, um, put myself out there to meet other guys and hang out and try to do some connection that way, and just try to be a beacon of connection for them too. Um,
Hmm. Yeah. So to sort of shift it up a bit, was there anything that like you didn't like about the experience, or places where you got like pissed off and secretly didn't voice it, or anything like that?
what was it was more against myself for not being as diligent with the scheduling of coaching requests and that kind of stuff. In the 7 months, I think I may have gotten them all in on time a handful of times. So I wish that it wasn't a reflection on my seriousness, but just should have been more diligent. So that's just on me, but overall, the experience, I don't have a negative thing to say about it. Not one bit.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and I think it's also been a place for me to sort of reflect on, not just, specifically with you, but like no, like just being with like, and we spoke to this over the last couple weeks of like even without, being diligent on the coaching requests, or like, you know, ma- you know, totally fulfilling on project design week in and week out, like the results were still created. There was still an immense amount of creation, and it's really a powerful place to be with when we look at like you as the generator. Like yes, those things are important in their own ways, but like there's even more power in that, like you just going out into the world
Mhm.
and doing what you do,
Yeah.
like that gets to be the forward momentum, the generator of life.
Yeah. And I feel like it was really truly was a power shift, like something that I have held over myself for so long really wasn't that big of a mountain to climb after all. So and then I kind of see the humor in it. I'm like, well, gosh, now if I have all my time back, like what it's not about what could I have done up to this point. It's like, boy, what can't I do now?
Hmm.
And I've got a lot of life to live here. Like it's to get that spirit back and know that I did it. That's pretty powerful stuff, I feel
Well,
like.
and again, like for people that are watching, I mean, this is also connected to your essence, right? Like you're speaking to sort of limitless possibility, right? That like you are fully with that. Like you're embodying it, you're seeing it sort of like play out in life in front of you, and like that's an exciting place to be. That like like you said, like if it's almost like if I put my hand on something, like yeah, what can be created from this place? What possibilities are out there in the world that are within my grasp?
Yeah. Oh, taking the not being afraid of success and goodness and happiness, taking that out of the equation, it just, boy. Um, and what I mean by that is that I was so into patterns of not being happy, not being successful, getting in my own way, but I was still pretty successful. Like
Hmm.
underneath all of that, I was still pretty successful. Raised two
Hmm.
kids, businessman, like still have my sense of humor. Like there were still some successes under there. So I had to really work on those roadblocks. We're like, okay, what if you are who you say you are? Like I think you even said that a couple, several times. It's like, what if you're there now?
Hmm.
Like, it's like, well, yeah, I am there. You're right. Like, so it was just a change of focus. And I think for me, and I can't speak to anybody else, for someone who likes to look at the lighter side of life, and once I started kind of not poking fun at myself, but just kind of seeing the lightheartedness in it, boy, that was such a really a game changer.
Yeah.
It, I was taking the power back, and that was exactly what it felt like. It was like, wow, and I felt it. Like, yeah, it was a stirring up, like completely.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I love that you spoke to the aspect of success, right? Because yeah, here's the thing is that most most of us, and we can all sort of determine this for ourselves, but like we've created a certain level of success in our life naturally. And I think that that's a key piece that people need to own is like me as a human being, I have the ability to create success. My life, if you break it down to fundamentals, it's like, yeah, like no matter what you've done, you've created something in life. And I love that piece that you're speaking to of like, well, if that's who I am, and now I get to sort of have this self-awareness, this self-reflection, and be connected to these innate qualities of who I am, that it's like life gets to be like a masterpiece.
Totally. Like felt like feel like there's a new lease on life for me. Like not saying by any stretch that my life was over. I was just stuck in patterns,
Hmm.
and um, and it's still a work in progress. Obviously, like I still have to give myself an incredible amount of grace and some slack, but it's not as daunting as it once was.
Hmm.
I certainly don't. I don't think that there's too much I can't do now,
Yeah.
which is great.
So, and from that place, I'd love for you to speak on like what is in store for you for the future.
Well, I'm still planning on a trip in August, um, to do a solo adventure on my own, which is something that I've always been scared to do. But I do have Europe or beyond in my sights for August or September. Um, there's aspirations of having my own group of men to spend time with here in my area, just to connect on a level that, um, I mean, camaraderie and friendship is such a huge piece of life, and that could pass you by before you know it. And having some like-minded pals to lean on and go through life with is invaluable. And I hope to be a leader in that regard in some capacity, for sure.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Um, if you're open to it, I'd love for you to share, what about the path with your business?
Yeah, like I mean, I plan on being the number one seniors transition company in my area. Um, I'd like to have business in 3/4 of the homes in retirement homes in Kamloops.
Hmm.
Um, and it's all based on relationships. Um, we advertise by word of mouth. So how we conduct ourselves with people is of utmost importance. And that stuff fills my cup and I find it quite rewarding, but also quite natural. So I feel like I'm going to make good money just being me. Wow, great. Fantastic.
Hmm.
And again, those are all through healthy connections and um, just happen to be able to make a living doing it. And it's good-hearted work, and that's kind of um, I can only dream of that.
Hmm. Yeah, and one of the places that we've sort of skipped over in that is like, well, what about the leadership qualities and you know the connection piece in that you're bringing to your business as well?
Well, I think the showing staff and employees that we can be a heart-led group and give service at an elite level. Um, being kind, being um, putting people first, just staying relevant and connected, and just doing good work. Um, mentoring staff is something I'm passionate about. Mentoring young people how to conduct themselves around other adults and in a professional capacity. I think that's something I'm really good at and something that is a passion of mine with my mentorship background. But that I've had to learn how to um, untighten the reins a little bit.
Hmm.
Was a big one for me. Instead of just being the one who should just lead by example, I wanted to have more of a voice and lead with my voice and be confident in what I expect out of my business. And um, that those were funny practices, but I, um, but I saw the humor in it again. Like just like
Hmm.
cut yourself some slack. Like um, how we did the practices was how many times are you going to say this to staff versus not? So there was a little bit of not I don't want to say gray area, but there was some leeway to either really knock it out of the park or just give yourself some grace and just kind of so and I tried to knock it out of the park all the time. So
Hmm.
um but you and I always shared like we saw the humor in it and um but also saw the progression.
Yeah.
Like I felt it, like it was a palpable feeling and I have no doubt that we will be the number one seniors moving company in this area. No doubt about it.
Yeah, it's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I love you speaking to just that leadership development and coming from a different place, a different place in that being expressed. So it's amazing to see. Um, so as we wind down here for tonight, is there anything that you want to share or anything that, is just sort of like top of mind for you,
I
as
think
we get finished?
as I was thinking about this week, it was bittersweet somewhat because I've been ready for several weeks to move on. Like to,
Hmm.
sorry, not move on. That's not the right word. It's for me to take the driver's seat. Um, but at the same time, I've always been in the driver's seat. So there's that realization. But it's, yeah, I feel like I've got the control that I've never had before. Like, and yeah, I'm not perfect. I'm still stumbling and learning, but boy, the smallest of victories are they're so sweet. and you just remember that feeling when you're not having a victorious day. It's like they're
Hmm.
there. Um, and to really get in touch with that happiness piece of me was something I've craved since I was a boy. Like something that I thought was so unattainable that, I'm really proud at the work I've done to uncover how to better serve my happiness.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I mean, that's the beauty of it, is that that was your creation,
Mhm.
right? Like
Yeah.
that, as we talk about that ownership piece, that like being in the driver's seat. Well, you were in the driver's seat to create that. And it's amazing. It's amazing to see, it was amazing for me to witness, to be honest. So yeah, I appreciate you speaking to that.
Yeah.
So for yourself, is there anything that you would like to promote, or share with the audience as to what you're up to?
Well, I think what I'm up to is just, I'm up to me.
Hmm.
And, you know, any words of encouragement I can offer anybody listening or maybe watching it later is to just keep on keeping on, like just keep looking within. And um, if you don't think you're in a place that you should be, have a harder look, have a deeper look. You're closer than you think. Um, I have become my best advocate. I couldn't say that a year ago. Like,
Hmm.
no, that's kind of what I'm up to, is this progression and just continuing on. I've kind of rekindled my appreciation for male mentorship, and that's something I embraced years and years ago, but and it's something that I would like to move forward with here in this area, as maybe a breakfast club, or get together for golf or something, just anywhere we can connect with other fellas and just go through life together. um, Promotion wise, we I as I mentioned, we have a seniors moving company here in Kamloops and surrounding area, and so we take very good care of our seniors and treat them like family, and we just happen to be pretty good at moving their stuff too. um, but yeah, I'm just gonna continue pushing the envelope.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, thanks for sharing. And for future audience members who are in the Kamloops region, or outlying areas, connect with Jason. I
Yeah,
know that you can potentially move people, not just who are doing seniors transitions as well.
that's right. Yeah.
um And yeah, I know that you've kind of put it out to members of the No More Mr. Nice Guy community, or that, hey, if people want to connect, if they want just to have a conversation, that you're
Yeah.
open to that. So
Cool.
I'm kind of volunteering it for you again here, but absolutely, guys, like connect with Jason in the group. He's such a great resource to get support around, and give you, be there for you, like listen for to you, and be that support, and also provide great wisdom. So definitely connect with him there.
And
Yeah, go
had
for it.
that I've had that in my life, and you know to reciprocate that to somebody who may be in need or maybe not know that they're in need for it. um, I'm available. Like it, I love that stuff. It fills my cup, and yeah, vulnerability is not a bad thing.
Hmm. Hmm. So as we wind down, may I acknowledge you? You muted, but I saw it there. Yeah.
I,
um I kind of feel like I've acknowledged you in some of the same areas as of late, so I'm gonna play with something different. But I really do want to acknowledge you for the leading from the heart. This whole experience has been you really, like, just allowing your heart to be the driver, and from that place, it's created a real dynamic where, like, there has been play and fun and happiness, even in these places that have held such power over you over all these years, that like how beautiful it's been to see that the breakthrough of those areas was to just have fun with it, and um really like that ownership piece of it. Like, this is the path that I'm going down. I'm going to make this happen. And like, what a gift to you to be able to do it in that way. I really want to acknowledge you for the leadership that you've brought. I mean, it's so apparent that whether it's in your business or men's communities in the future, or even just connecting with one person at a time, that like you've really stepped into a place that like you can be a beacon for this. You can be a beacon for that connection, for that, that's that real ability to help others, and actually own that, be confident in that. Like I've really seen that shift even in the last few weeks, where it's like it feels like that's really stemmed from that leadership piece. Like I can be that person without a doubt. I really want to acknowledge you for the adventure that you've created. That this is there's this talk around the hero's journey, and forging that path, and I so see that for you, that like this is your journey, this is your adventure, and that you're connected to the possibility in that, the what ifs, the what might be possible, where do I get to go next, that like that is truly magic that you are wielding in that way. And it's exciting to see. It's been an absolute pleasure to be a part of. And I've been very delighted and proud to be on this journey with you. It's been such a gift. There's been a lot of great moments, moments where I've gotten to challenge you a little bit, and to know that like this is where we ended up together. It's been truly a gift, and it's been exactly, um, yeah. What more to say than it's been a pleasure. It's been fun, and I'm thankful that we got to do it. So thank you.
I'm thankful as well. It's been, I don't want to say it's even been an uphill, up and downhill journey. It's just been a journey. Like, I
Hmm.
don't need to add too many words to it. It's just been a journey, and it's going to still be a journey,
Yeah,
but I'm in charge of it.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Well, thanks for doing this, Jason.
my pleasure.
Thanks for the viewers that we've had.
Yeah,
Let us know if you've got any questions, any curiosities that come up if you end up watching this later. And for now, thanks again, and talk to you soon.
my pleasure.